Hi and welcome to this week's video. Got pretty much most of my targets completed, and despite the fact we've got a puppy in the house which consumes some of my time. Leading edges have been built up really to the point where I just need to do some finishing touches. Ailerons done and the walkway sorted out. Unfortunately, I think we're missing a little bit of video, so there might be some stuff with some of the stills I took from my build log. But we'll see what we've got, so let's get cracking. So I've sanded the edge of the geo here back about nearly to 3/4 of width of the spar, down to half to a third of the width thickness of the geodetic, curved to allow for the covering, which will sag possibly slightly between the ribs, so it's always good just so it hasn't got a hard corner to rub on. Saves a little bit of weight, 95 grams I've worked it out as for a bit of fun, for over the whole two wings. So I suppose that's significant, but that's not really why I've done it. It's just to make it more finished, but every bit of weight I can save, the better. So from the time lapse you've just seen, I've just gone through what I call the egg box and worked my way through to get that down to the right height using my router, as you sort of saw with the two pieces of wood there, and that was set up twice the thickness of the plywood using and that was set up using my standard routing setup of the flat table with the two pieces of plywood thickness that I'm going to actually be using. So that's exactly right there, and now hopefully when I put everything down it should be great. But in fact I've gone down that thickness, and the bit that's missing is I actually had a piece of very thin card underneath each one, so it's gone down just a little bit more just to allow for the thickness of glue. So the card was 5 thou, so it's 5 thou deeper than it needs to be. That should hopefully allow for the glue to be just perfect. So here is the completed step. I'm afraid to say that some of my footage, video footage, is missing, so there's a couple of stills showing I believe what the section looked like underneath here after I routed it all down to depth, and then the first layer of plywood with a whole series of lightning holes in it. That saved around about 150 grams of weight, not including the reduction in resin needed for getting the bond, but most importantly it allowed it to really conform well with the shape of the airfoil section. And then of course they've got this second lamination put on, which I used West Systems resin for doing the lamination here, rather than the T88, because it's a thinner resin, it's runnier. So I painted the surface of the lower piece with that resin, and I've painted the areas which away from the holes which I'd marked on here on the upper surface. I think there's a photograph where it shows the lower one where all the holes are masked, so it allowed for the resin to be forced through when I clamped this lot down. And that's the advantage of the West Systems resin being far runnier. It allows it to be squeezed out better to help get rid of that excess resin and keep a nice layer surface. And I've sanded the sides down, which didn't require an awful lot of sanding. It was pretty much at the right height. I can just about feel a slight step, but that's not significant really at all. Down here there's going to be a gusset. Here, yeah, that might just slightly show through the covering, so I might put a little bit of a filler layer there, but it's nothing really. I'll probably actually just sand that out completely. And I've rounded the front edge here very slightly so that the covering hasn't got a sharp edge to be on. And all in all, I'm very pleased with it. Solid as solid can be. So we've got that sorted out. Other bits of missing footage is, well, I think really it's this end rib here. It's been bonded into position along with its triangular section there. So this rib, this aileron effectively is done as far as it can be, and I've just bonded in that stringer there, holding it in place with tape. And again, I'll put this rib in here just to make sure that the end here is held in its correct position, because there's quite still, you know, you can actually flex this up and down. Once the other stringer's in place, the end rib here will be bonded with the triangular section. But one bit I just wanted to show you is that I've got 4 which I've bored with a 1/4 inch hole in, and these 4 will be for the rib 2, 3, 4 and 5 positions. They'll be there, and that'll allow, the holes will allow the pitot static tube to come in. It'll come in, well, they'll come in around here on the root rib. You've got the aileron control tube going through here, so it'll come in through about here with 2 quick connect fasteners, lace their way through to here, and then we'll go along the leading edge all the way out to this rib here, and then we'll come through to go up the strut, up to the strut mount, and they'll come out through the covering plate that's going to be there, which we've talked about. They'll come up through there and just go onto the strut going up, so we'll have the pitot and static going up the front of the strut. I could have put them coming out the leading edge, but this wing's so low I think they'd be prone to people knocking into them with their legs. I didn't want to put it underneath the wing because, well, the wing's relatively low. It's a great area for catching grass and not being very visible, so putting them on the strut about midway between the two, the upper and lower planes, should be a good place to go. All the D sections are put onto the starboard wing. You can see there that's the one with the pitot and static holes in, 1/4 inch holes. The inboard rib one I've put on the outer side. I was originally going to put it on the inside, but it would be offset in past this face. So I've stuck it on this way around, and I'll make up a light ply packer to bring it flush with this face. All the others are set inboard of the ribs except for the outboard one, which I've set out. It's going to be slightly outside the line here, but it makes no difference because of the ply capping piece. That's the actual leading edge will be going past it, but it allows me to have space in here to help reinforce things if I need to for the leading edge itself. And as you'll probably see, I've drawn a line here, which is the chord line on the plan, onto here, so I know where the leading edge cutout will be, top and bottom equally spaced for that, which I'll determine how that's going to be cut, actually using the leading edge to make it a good fit. That will be fitted before I put the leading edge skin on. Talking about the leading edge skins, I give us 7 of them just to be a little bit awkward. 4 are needed for the top wing because I've got the extra span, extra 1 bay, so an extra foot. This setup, as you can sort of see, it's pretty much level with the, well, if I go there, it's level with the root, and it doesn't quite make this rib, and that gives me just over 2 feet to the tip, and each one of these is 5 feet long. So if I was to cut the one in half, so I've got the half bit required for the outside each bit, it would come to this half rib. Well, they don't have a D section on there, so there's no support. So I'm going to be scarfing the ply to do the joint on the leading edge. I'm going to take it so it comes past here, so it's about the sort of position with the scarf joint. So I'll put the outboard one on first with its slope going that way, and then the inboard section will go onto the outside of that because it's got something to form on. And I'll use 1 D nose piece just to support that at the joint while it dries, but it'll be temporary so I can remove it just to make sure so it doesn't crush when I actually do that bonded joint there going across. I will show you that when I get to it, but that probably won't be till next week now. So once these are dried, the false spars, the leading edge spars, will be put into place. Just bonded in the upper and lower false leading edge spars, bit proud as anticipated, so I can actually plane those down. As you can see, I've used masking tape to hold the two together where we've got a nose piece, because that way it's squashed into the nose piece there to hold it in place, and where there's a half rib, it's just clamped to make sure that the half ribs are held to make a good glue joint. Each of the ribs has got a little pencil mark, I don't know if that's showing there, to make sure that they are in their correct relevant positions. Those marks were taken same way as I did the trailing edge, but I took it from the main spar area, put it on, so we've got everything running straight all the way through. So this leading edge, well, this wing, the starboard wing, now is where I was sort of hoping to be towards the end of the week. I've just got to do to finish the week off. Hopefully we'll get the other wing to exactly the same position. Well, another week done. Pretty much done everything I wanted to do on target. That's despite the fact of a little bit of a hold up. We've got a new addition to the family, a puppy, which is consuming time, but we've got the leading edges to the point now where they just need to be final shaped on the false leading edge spars, and then we can start putting some plywood on the leading edges and getting the tips sorted out. The ailerons are pretty much as far as we can go for the time being. So, catch me next week. Bye now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.